Burma's military regime is reported tonight to have made a key concession on vitally needed overseas aid for 1 million survivors of Cyclone Nargis. It's agreed to allow the US military to fly in relief supplies, and it can't arrive soon enough, with diplomats in Rangoon saying the death toll in Burma could go above 100,000. And local officials on the ground in the remote area of Labata estimate as many as 80,000 people have died in that one district alone. 5 days into the crisis, there's growing despair across the stricken Irrawaddy Delta.
Amateur video shows the town of Labata as it was blasted by the full force of Cyclone Nargis. The tidal surge that followed in the wake of the 190-kilometre winds swamped much of Burma's Irrawaddy Delta. Labata was one of the worst affected areas, and now 5 days into this disaster, the situation for thousands of people here just continues to get worse. There's been no assistance from the military government, survivors left to fend for themselves, with no shelter, no medical care, food or water. This woman, like so many others, lost almost her entire family. Only she and one of her young children survived. The others presumably swept away in the floodwaters that have claimed untold thousands of lives.
It is a massive disaster. It would test any government. The experts here are talking about a recovery and humanitarian operation on a par with the Aceh post-tsunami operation. So this is huge.
Amid the mayhem and destruction, the ruling junta has been notoriously slow to act. The generals are now making great play on state-run TV of their efforts to get aid and assistance to the disaster zone. Prime Minister General Teng Seng, seen here touring a hospital, has been appointed to lead the relief operation. But inevitable comparisons are being drawn with the ineffective response to this catastrophe and the way tens of thousands of troops were so quickly mobilised last September to crush anti-government protests. And despite its iron grip on all information and communication, the junta failed to issue any warnings of the storm's approach, something seen as a major factor in the high casualty rate. Even more tragically, an estimated 40% of the deaths have been children.
When it moved through, there was very little warning, so families and children were always going to be the most vulnerable.
As the wrangling continues over permission for international relief workers to enter the country, the misery on the ground intensifies. These women came here on rumours that there was a rice distribution, but they find nothing. Hunger is widespread and there's no help in sight. This woman saw her pregnant daughter-in-law swept away in floodwaters. Heartbreaking stories that have been repeated thousands of times over. The journalist interviewing them left to offer paracetamol and a little cash, but there's simply nothing left to buy. Jane Braslin, World News, Australia.